And got it. So,
Almost.
hello. You are. I see that we are streaming live on Facebook.
We are.
So, hi.
Hi.
How are you today, this fine Wednesday evening?
It's very interesting. I'm not used to partying on a Tuesday night, but I guess that's the time of year.
It is the time of year, and I went to bed way too late, but it was worth it. And I'll just go to bed early tonight and try to catch up on a little bit of sleep and have a fresh brain for tomorrow.
Yeah. So,
Sometimes you gotta bite the bullet and you gotta do what you gotta do. Take one for the team.
yeah, well, you know, dancing and singing and sharing and having a cheer with someone is always fun.
Yeah.
And tonight, what are we talking about tonight? I know where I'm thinking
Tonight,
rich.
yeah, tonight we're talking about the fifth step to riches, your imagination. It's the workshop of the mind. Perfect timing because we always talk about Santa's workshop at this time of year. But now we're talking about our workshop. Our workshop in our brain is your imagination.
I love that you
And
know what it's wonderful. It's curious that they use the word workshop and more curious that work because we don't realize sometimes that our mind, a part of our mind, the subconscious part, works 24/7.
it definitely does, which is one of the reasons, and I know I mentioned that last week, but I'm just not sure where I mentioned it. One of the reasons why you are supposed to repeat this thing, your goal, morning and night. Repeat it to yourself, reread your goal card because you go to bed at night and you've just put that into your subconscious mind and it's working and it's working and it's working all night, even when you're sleeping. So now, imagination, you have to create yourself a clear vision of what you want, a very clear goal. And what happens is you've got to picture that and imagine it and make that goal as clear as possible and define little details in your imagination. What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it look like? What color is it? I mean, if you want to put a money goal, everybody knows what money smells like. Whether it's American greenbacks or Canadian dollars that smell like maple syrup, everybody knows what money smells like. So that's very important. You've got to use your imagination and conjure up those images, all the details. You want a horse in that stable or in that field behind your farmette. You picture that horse.
I love that you say that. And you know what? To get to that point, imagination, you start with it and you end with it. Because what you're talking about is you've already committed, you've got the goal. Now, you doesn't end there. So when you think of imagination, it is the starting point. People talk about vision boards. Vision boards are the starting point. It's where you're imagining creative or synthetic. Is it coming from and it's very few things come from that hunch. It's very few. Creation is usually synthetic, as Napoleon Hill speaks of. What does that look like? I think we know of a few examples. I think like Henry Ford's example of synthetic imagination, right? You see the train go by, the freight train. You have a carriage going, a horse and buggy, and you say, put them together. How do we make this a car, which we know is a car today with an engine? Two separate ideas put together to create with their imagination. And that's where it starts. The goal. So he started with, I have a goal that came from his imagination, but he didn't stop there because he visualized his goal and worked on his goal, like Karen just said.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such many people, they either look at imagination from the starting point or the continuing part. But they very rarely take the both, recognizing they're at the beginning and they're at the end.
This is why the vision board is an important part of vision mapping and an important early step, because it helps you to really hone in and express those details. Finding pictures, finding images, and really reflecting on, if it's your dream house, no, not that one. No, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly like I want. Except I want a little gable here, or except I want a different color, or except whatever. So it really helps you to identify and hone in on the exact details. So
And
then you
visualize.
start to visualize it and imagine it and conjure that. And if you visualize that, and it's not just about imagining it and visualizing it, you will have to take steps, but we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about the imagination. Okay. So it doesn't end here. So join us every week, but it doesn't end here. It's an important step. It is the fifth step towards riches. So it has to be an important step. So
Yeah.
man's only limitation, says Napoleon Hill, within reason, lies in his development and use of his imagination.
So there, you know what? I just had an aha moment when you said that. Now I've read that line many a times, but I didn't hear it. You saying it, we really do grow and catch things, what we see, what we hear, so you just said that and I heard it and I said, that's what we were just talking about. The development, which is, what do I want? What do I want? Imagining all the things you may have, tearing out pictures, the development of what you want, and then the use of it, actually using it to make it come to life. Isn't that like, now I've read that line many a time and I never connected it. I never saw it from that perspective.
And your imagination will also be used in the step of acting as if or living as if. So one of the important parts is not overspending of what's in your bank account, but acting as if you already have it, seeing yourself already in possession. You need to use your imagination to do that. And in some cases, a little bit more than others, but you need to use your imagination.
You say that, and it's so, the imagination is, because an example, I have two really bang on examples, and I've said them before. I want to live by the water. Well, anybody that lives by the water knows it's costly. So the budget didn't really meet the dream. So instead of given either or a problem, I imagined and where can I be near the water? What can I do that I can be by the water? That was my imagination. Oh, I can read a book. Oh, I can go swimming in the lake. It's free. I can walk the trail on the water. I can. But you know what? The other clear thing for me with imagination is it's everything. It's not just one part. It's not the money. It's not your physical ability or disability. It's not anything more than giving yourself the space to dream without shutting your dreams down.
Without boundaries.
No boundaries. That's a great
Dream
word. No
big.
boundaries. Dream big. Yeah. Let your like that's a very important word for me, right? That's imagine is my word. Imagine.
Yes.
Imagine. And here's the thing, when you start to use imagination, is creation at its core. Creation. So today, here's the challenge. What do you want to create? What do you want to create? Anybody can. And you say, oh, yeah, well, no, wait a minute here. We don't, one day you'll say, once upon a time, I do live by the water because I spent a lot of time wanting to live by the water. And then I took action to see how can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Where will I do it? And I didn't wait to imagine it. I walked down and read the book, sitting with my feet just dangling in that water. You know, You have access to things. The only way you know what that is by imagining. And aren't we lucky? Roxanne, we're talking about imagination tonight. We're still in Facebook. I don't know whether Roxanne is. So tonight we go into book club and we, I don't know, we're reading 2 books. What are we reading tonight? One sec.
We are reading tonight The Science of Getting Rich. It is the original classic, quote unquote, by Wallace D. Wattles. And it is actually written before Think and Grow Rich. So it piqued our curiosity because we were wondering if some of those concepts were written about in Think and Grow Rich, and if he was one of the people that influenced Napoleon Hill when he wrote his book and some of his ideas, which indeed apparently they did. And the second book, of course, is Thinking More Rich.
Well, Napoleon Hill wrote a book with Wallace Wattles, a version. And you know who has it? Somebody in our community, Jackie.
I didn't know that.
I just found that out when she thought she was reading Think and Grow Rich, but she was reading Grow Rich, something, How to Grow Rich. And Wallace Wattles is one of the 4 people. Very interesting.
Interesting. Oh, we have some more digging to do.
Yep, we always do. Information.
So we'll cap off by saying, join us in book club. There is no behind. There is no homework. There is no prep work. You can read or you cannot read. So if you don't have the book, you can just sit and listen. You can close your eyes and listen to somebody else reading to you and relax. We read for about a half an hour or so. We'll read one book and then we'll read a little bit out of the other book. And then we will have a discussion. And if you choose to participate, you participate. And if you don't, you don't. And it's all perfect.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.